It's Wednesday. You know what time it is. Front Runner Podcast Collective is back on the air. I am your humble host, Vince. And on today's podcast, we talk about the Giannis situation. What to do. I know, Milwaukee, you don't want to have this conversation, but unfortunately, we pretty much have to. Then there is a bigger question. What happened in the lottery? It wasn't just the Dallas situation. It was the top 3 situations that happened that were pretty peculiar. And then we need to move on to some games that happened and what it all means. And we have Indiana in the Eastern Conference Finals. They're waiting the winner of the Knicks in Boston, which there was something terrible that happened in that series, and we'll get to all of that. And what that means for the reigning, defending NBA champions. But before we get to all that, 2 things that we need to establish for what the offseason is going to look like. We are going to hit every team in the offseason. We're probably going to break it down by divisions, as long as we keep divisions, but we're going to break them down by divisions, and then we're going to go through their free agency, what they need, what some of the whispers are out there saying about what they need and things of that nature, and maybe it'll give us breadcrumbs to what is actually going to happen for them. And then when free agency actually hits, will there be a live pod? No. What will happen, we'll let the day go through, discuss. We will have a pre-pod, then we'll have a post-pod after, as far as that's concerned. And no matter what day that falls on, we are going to discuss the day prior, the day of, and then the day after. Okay? So we will be on top of that all through that. Plus, there's going to be so much Giannis news and Kevin Durant news. We don't even know what we're going to be able to do. Sleep will be optional. I understand. It is the price we pay. It's the sacrifice that we must make to be extraordinary. And granted, that is what we're trying to do. So, that is a little, clean up on summer. We will be here for the draft, and we got some stuff to talk about with the draft is coming up. So we're going to start in Milwaukee, and we're just going to rip off the Band-Aid, okay? Milwaukee Bucks fans, I understand. It's not personal. It's not something I like doing, but it's something we got to do. Got to be grown-ups about this. So we're going to talk about your boy Giannis and the situation and what's going to happen. So, in Milwaukee, right about now, there feels like you're watching your friends stay in a relationship that everybody knows is over. But they just keep seeing where it goes. I know it. And I think Giannis knows it too. He hasn't left yet, but he's looking on Zillow, where dreams come true. I'm telling you right now, with him, we're talking about loyalty, we're talking about legacy, but that guy wants to win multiple championships. He went on his own brother's podcast. He talked about winning one isn't enough. So this is coming from the man himself, who is, we're going to get to his age and what he's been doing and what you can get and how this should hopefully work, and we'll see how it all goes. But we got a long way to go before we get there. So if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan, all of this conversation is gonna suck, right? Because here's another coastal elitist telling you that, oh, it's time to go ahead and sell off your pride and joy. And I understand where that kind of falls for you, and in the pit of your stomach, you're kind of going, they're going to win again. And unfortunately, it's kind of the way it goes. Your guy is too good. And the team, unfortunately, because of injury and just erosion and void of talent, you run into this. It is a financial pinch that you can't get yourself out of. Because there's no viable assets around him that you can just go ahead and pawn off. So you have to rip the Band-Aid off. You didn't come here for cliches. You came here for clarity. So I hope, as somebody who, literally takes this seriously, I hope that we can do this with some care. So here we go. Let's try to do this. And let's be clear. He is not asked out yet. But the vibes are louder than basically all of the Dallas fans on draft lottery night. So y'all know how that went. We'll get to that a little bit later. Now here's the thing with Milwaukee. They tried to keep the team cohesive. They tried to keep the team relevant. They thought they were doing the right thing in the Damian Lillard trade, what have you. Then Dame becomes injured. That might have been the domino that solved this whole thing. That right there. When he went down, that was your last piece. That was your last get out of jail free card. And we don't even know how much actual asset the NBA thought of Dame. How valuable was he? A diminutive guard who's in his mid-30s, and this is prior to the injury, who doesn't play a lot of defense, and now the scoring is more occasional than it is when it was like 4 or 5 years ago. These are all things that are valid questions that were being said, and this is before the injury. Now you don't even have that piece. You don't even have that piece to play anymore. So where do you go? And how do you get there? The Bucks front office did not fumble this bag. They emptied the bag trying to keep Giannis. They got Drew. Then they flipped Drew for Dame. They swapped coaches like a bad dating phase. They've done everything Giannis has asked, and it still hasn't worked. Because of the fact that the Chris Middleton piece was the piece that you should have got off of before Drew. That was the fatal flaw. Was when you got off Drew, you could have got off Chris Middleton, and you could have kept Drew, and then this wouldn't have been as bad. But hindsight is always 20/20. So can't go there anymore. Now, where are we? Dame, $54 million, torn Achilles, 34 years of age. A cap sheet that looks like a failed crypto wallet. No first round picks until The Last of Us season 5. Y'all know we in season 2, right? Oh, and by the way, John Horst got signed to a 4-year extension because they knew he was going to be the one cleaning up this mess. The Bucks have over-leveraged themselves trying to win 2 chips, and instead they've caught 1 ring in 3 straight round 1 exits because of injury, because of just mistimed injury with Giannis and with Middleton. It has just been a calamity of not errors, but just bad luck, ill-fated timing. And now here we are, and we gotta be honest about this whole situation. If you hold on to Giannis in an East that is incredibly going to get more difficult as we go along here, Well, maybe not. We'll talk about that soon and why that is. But basically, right now, you're just sitting there and you're just watching just a bad relationship just fall apart. I mean, it's like watching someone max out their credit cards again for a last minute trip to Vegas, thinking this is the time it'll hit different. Milwaukee, it's not, and you're up against it with the luxury tax, so it's time to go ahead and shed payroll. Start getting picks and start rebuilding. And if you're going to talk about, well, what does Giannis want? Giannis is a loyal dude, but he talks publicly about winning championships. He knows that Milwaukee is where he grew. He won his first one. But he still wants to have multiple champion by his name. He wants to be known as a multiple time champion. And I don't know why that's so prevalent on his mind, but it is. I don't know if he feels like if he can just kind of bully his way towards like the top 15 players of all time or whatever. I don't know what his mode of competition is, but there's something that is driving him. And he pushed Milwaukee to go all in, to continue to go all in. And unfortunately, he made some bad bets along the way. And now you got one more chip to play. And it's the chip that you don't want to get rid of. Because you know everything changes when you get rid of that chip. And here's the thing. And I understand why Milwaukee feels this way. Two main reasons. We started it with basically what I had just said. Here is a coastal elitist telling you have to get rid of like your favorite player. And it sucks. What other way can you get out of this? Because here's the thing. Here's the real truth. Let's look at this. 54.1 million, that's just dead money next year. That's Damian Lillard. Let's say you keep Giannis. Okay, 48.8 million. That's money well spent, right? But if you look at between the two, where you at? That's 102. That's 102 million. It's a lot of money. Oh, Kuzma's 22. How much production did you get out of that? Portis is 13.5. Connaughton, who couldn't stay on the floor, that's 9.4. And your draft is not your own until 2031. I'll say that again. Your draft is not your own until 2031. They've got less flexibility than Trader Joe's freezer aisle. That's crazy, Soraya. I tell her to pop in every once in a while. And damn, if you haven't started on a high note with that. Whew. All right. Even Brook Lopez walks in free agency. They can't replace him. It's not just a bad cap situation. They're stuck. They're stuck because they just don't have the money to be able to do this anymore. And here's the thing about Giannis. He was still elite. His box plus minus was positive 9.8. His true shooting percentage was 64%. His on-off when he was on the court, off the court, was a positive 9.4. That's Jokic level impact. So if you're going to trade him, you're getting him at the highest value possible. You can ask for the moon. You can ask for everything. Players, picks, owners, girlfriends, sisters, cousins, whatever you need, you can probably get for Giannis. You don't have to be Nico Harrison. You do not have to be Nico Harrison. You can sell him to the highest bidder and get a hefty return back. Boy, did Nico end up in a good situation. I can't wait to tell that story. Okay, so now you're looking at a situation with Giannis, and where does he go? Well, where does he go? It's going to be up to Giannis. And the one thing that I think I know about Giannis is this. He's going to want Milwaukee to get a pretty fair offer back, but he definitely wants to make sure that the team that he's going to is going to have the pieces or the necessary pieces that it's going to take to win a championship. So I would look at a team like Houston. I know that's very cliche. I'm going to throw a couple more in there, but Houston, the reason why I throw Houston in that mix is because they have a lot of young talent that they don't even play right now. Reed Shepherd, one. Cam Whitmore gets very little playing time. And there's still a lot of duplicity in their lineups and their roster with the Tari Easons of the world, the Jabari Smith Juniors of the world. How much development can we get out of Amen Thompson, with the plethora of wings that we have? And we haven't even talked about Dillon Brooks and where he fits into this mix. So, if you want to kind of remove a little bit of the clutter, clean up your payroll sheet a little bit, and here's the best part. It's not like you have to give them every draft pick or every player. You can say, hey, listen, we got 3 tiers. We got tier A, tier B, tier C. You can have a player from each one of these, and you can have draft picks, but you're not going to bleed us completely because they have so much. Now, if this was a situation where it's another team, now who would benefit for having a Giannis Antetokounmpo at 30 years of age, who's such a hard worker, what have you? Oh, the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio. Now, there's a little bit of dilemma here. I don't know about De'Aaron Fox when it comes to this situation. No shade on De'Aaron. But San Antonio has the 2nd overall pick. We'll get to that a little bit later. But if you could pair Wemby and Giannis together, I mean, it would break synergy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It would be just amazing type of situation. But San Antonio, to me, is another team that I would think would fit that whole deal. Now, people say, oh, you wouldn't trade them to a team in the East. That's crazy. No, I don't care about all that, man. I'm trying to get the best deal possible. I don't care about who I'm trading them to and whatever. I'm trying to make sure my team is set for down the road. So, who's a team on the East that you could go ahead and kind of see what's out there and whatever the case may be? Well, Brooklyn is always, romanticizing about big stars and whatever because they're trying to basically bite into the New York Knicks market. I don't know why, because the New York Knicks are just awesome. So don't do that. Go back to Jersey. I don't know why y'all went to Brooklyn. No offense to Brooklyn, but y'all like the Knicks too, so I don't know what we're doing. Now, if you want to get real crazy, You want to get loco? So you want to get loco on the cabeza? Let's send Giannis to Atlanta. Oh yeah. We can get the light-skinned R&B singer out of Atlanta. Okay. Right? And we bring in Giannis. And now we got Giannis with Jalen Johnson and Emeka Okongwu. And now I want to see people try to score on that no-fly zone. Right? Now, your guard situation, you're going to have to figure that out. But between Dyson Daniels, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jalen Johnson, and Okongwu, I don't think anybody really scoring on that team. So if Atlanta can get in the mix, let's go. Let's go. Now, yeah, Dallas is out. We'll talk about that in a second. But at the end of the day, Milwaukee is in a favorable position. You have a star who, honestly, I don't think we're going to see more development out of. What you see out of Giannis is probably the zenith of what he's going to be. And it's great. And do not get me wrong. It is a physical specimen package to behold, most certainly. But at the end of the day, if you want to really be honest about this, how much longer can he do what he does at the level he does with the physicality he has to take on every single night? Are you betting? I think you're betting on the wrong side of history if you think that he's going to be able to do this for like 5 more years at the velocity that he does it at. Just my opinion. Now, if you're sitting there and saying, I want everything to go right, this to me is a no way out. And I think now we need to get to what the most important thing is what's going on with this draft, man. What is going on? You wanted fairness. You wanted the odds to matter. This wasn't a draft lottery. This was its own storyline. And the heel turn was wrapped in ping pong balls. Vince McMahon couldn't have booked this even better himself. Now listen, Vince got a lot of stuff in his closet. But that Undertaker stuff, that was, we believe for a long period of time. Utah sent home empty-handed. Washington exiled. Brooklyn pushed down to irrelevance yet again. And then, like a corporate champion getting crowned, Dallas with a 1.8% chance walks out with Cooper Flagg. They get the number 1 overall pick. San Antonio again is in the top 2. And Philly, who fumbled their way into this particular pick because of, we're going to let Joel Embiid come back off of surgery last year. We think it's okay for Joel Embiid to play in the Olympics. We think it's okay for Joel Embiid to eat Big Macs and whatever the case may be and not really care about his health and all this sort of thing. He's injured? Oh, man, that's surprising. Is it? It's wild. Philly ends up 3rd. And the funny part about it is that the way it was explained that by people that was in the room is how it works is that they go from the top. So in the TV product, they go from 14 to 1. In the actual draft room, it's 1 to 14. So they know who's the number 1 overall, who has the number 1 overall, like right away. Like all the entry is sucked out the room. So The funny part, if you look at how it fell, Dallas goes 1, which is improbable, but it did happen. San Antonio goes 2, and then Sam Presti, who's in the room, who has no business being in the room, had a 36% chance to get a top 7 pick, or like a lottery pick, because all Philly had to do was end up out of the top 6. Well, with the first two ping pong balls, or whatever the case may be, the 2 entrances, it looked like Philly had fallen out of the top 6, because 2 teams had pushed their way up into the top of the draft. So Presti's getting like, okay, and like the people from Philadelphia that were in the room were just like, oh man, we are so toast. And then they pop up with the 3rd overall, and like relief has set in. They're like, oh my God, thank you. They're just like, thank you so much. So it was a wild situation. And let's call it best for business. A golden boy for Dallas, a partner for Wemby, and one more storyline to keep Philly's gaslight era alive. So let's kind of get the chain of events set a little bit. Well, everybody knows what happened, but they didn't pull a quick. They pull a heist. Nico Harrison doesn't even show up. They send Rolando Blackman. Face like stone. He was just so cool under pressure, and then just the elation towards the end was crazy. I loved it. And somehow Dallas post Luka lands the most marketable, malleable, and white American ready prospect since Larry Bird. Flagg is a NCAA leader in box plus minus. He shot 38.5% from the land of 3. I hate this stat, but I'll let it fly. Top PER among non-centers in his only year of college. John Hollinger of The Athletic called Cooper Flagg undeniable. Wozni then called him a vibe reset, and Dallas, they're holding the remote, man. They're just sitting there going like, yeah, we got it. We're back. What's Flagg? What's his comp? Well, it's going to be a lot of moxie, a lot of headiness, but he got a lot of stuff to him too. Got a lot of attitude. So, oh man, there's such a weird comp. If Shane Battier could be more of a Shane Battier, Blake Griffin, like melded together. If you put Blake Griffin with Shane Battier, Cooper Flagg, right? That's what I think about when I think of Cooper Flagg. I'll put it this way. It wasn't just that Dallas got their pick, because it was amazing. You go from the worst odds, to the penthouse. So either there was some good karma going on, or somebody was told something. There was something. I don't know. I mean, I think LeBron said it best when he was on the Pat McAfee show. He was like, so the year I come out, I'm like 30 minutes away from Cleveland. I grew up in Akron. Lo and behold, Cleveland gets the first overall pick. I kind of knew the assignment. I'm not saying, listen, y'all do whatever y'all want with that. I don't know. I don't have any real tangible evidence to give you on that. But I'm also a big believer there wasn't one shooter in the John F. Kennedy assassination either. So you take it for whatever it's worth. So at the end of the day, not only does Dallas get the number 1 overall pick, San Antonio is sitting here just building just like this incredible roster. So 2 years ago, they get Victor Wembanyama. So you get like a generational talent. Keep in mind, this is the same team, the same franchise that got Tim Duncan, and then got David Robinson in the past, right? So they get Victor Wembanyama. All right, so very next year, they get Stephon Castle, who the last time we had watched him play basketball, he was winning a national championship for the UConn Huskies, being just disruptive and this connecting piece on offense. Then he turned out to be like that and more when we saw him towards the end of this season in the NBA. So now they get another pick. They got the 2nd overall pick. And then again, we talk about Philadelphia, and Philadelphia sitting there, and if you were worried about the talent level and will Embiid ever play again, or this, that, and the other, or whatever you was feeling, I mean, this is a pretty damn good consolation prize to sit there and go, okay, we got Tyrese Maxey. We saw enough out of McCain last year, and now we get the 3rd overall pick this year. Pretty, hey, worked out for you guys. Worked out. Sounds like a Ocean's 11 type screenplay, but I don't know how they pulled this off. I don't know how the NBA pulled this off. And they gonna tell us that this was all just by the book. Okay. Whew. I'm not gonna say it's rigged, but I mean, are we putting like Cooper Flagg on Landman anytime soon? What, does he already have a guest or a guest appearance on Landman? Man, I'm gonna tell you right now, the white American marketing revival the league didn't know it needed, and maybe it did. Washington Landry will be preaching from the high heavens. Jokic, Holmgren, and now Flagg. It's about to be perception, and the league sees value in flipping the script on who gets celebrated. It's going to be great, man. Oh, here's the other thing. We got Cooper Flagg in Dallas, and we got Victor Wembanyama in San Antonio. Woo. And then, listen, we don't need to not throw... Listen, Houston deserves love. They deserve love. You deserve love, Houston. You were the 2nd seed in the West. You still got a lot of picks. You still got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of talent that's not playing right now. You can do something big too. So, and you might be closer to the top than all the rest of them. This isn't a deep draft. Hollinger called it a donut draft. Tasty up top, hollow inside. And Dallas, you just won the number 1 overall pick, because you're gonna get the IQ of just a ninja with Flagg in transition. He has elbow hug passing capabilities. He can defend 2 through 5 easily. You don't build a system around this guy. You let him slide into any system, and you just let him work and adjust. Dallas isn't rebuilding. They're just rebranding. We love all of what has happened here. The drama or the non-drama. of this whole situation. What else do we know? There's some other stuff going on. Okay. That was a horrible injury that happened to Jason Tatum. Ruptured Achilles. Out for obviously the playoffs, but he's out for the whole entire year next year. And we'll get into later what this actually means for the team and where they go from here. But we wanted to acknowledge that, man, shouts out to Jason Tatum. Man, we just wish you a speedy recovery, my guy. And what a tough break. And just they're going for a repeat. Now, Knicks will tell you there's some other stuff that was about to happen. But we will see. Some real sliding door stuff happened over this last 3 or 4 days. Real sliding door actions in the NBA. Things that evolve around this podcast, all kinds of stuff. I know that right now, Adam Silver is loving what he is seeing. He is absolutely loving it. You got Flagg and Wemby going up against each other for years to come. Who knows what Philly's going to do with that pick and how they're going to use it to kind of kickstart whatever they got going on. So, it should be interesting. And speaking of interesting, a team that was the number one offensive team in the NBA. A team that won 64 games. Home court advantage all throughout the playoffs. And yet, Cleveland's season ends in 5 games. Why? Because when the lights go up, the backcourt blueprint falls apart, Garland disappears, Mitchell goes solo, and no one closes the gap. Meanwhile, Tyrese Halliburton just ran a clinic in rhythm, vision, and shot selection. Indiana has an identity in Cleveland. Well, they have a number sheet. So, we'll see who is built for May and who is built for memes. Let's get into it. Indiana's identity is real. It's pace, purpose, and poise. Halliburton had 31 points. He had 8 assists. He had 6 rebounds. He shot 66% shooting. He shot 60% from the land of 3. He had elite live dribbling decision making. Siakam was absolutely killing people on the backside reads from the elbow mismatches and also rim rotation triggers. Our guy Nembhard was a low usage guard doing high leverage work. This team was just connected. And credit to Rick Carlisle, who didn't allow this team to get too big for his britches and go ahead and put the hammer down. Because they could have very easily walked into Cleveland and said, okay, if we lose this, we go back home, win it, and then it's all over. But no, they put their foot down and just said, no, we end it right here on your home court, and you have to watch us celebrate. Now I'll do it this way. I know Pacer fans believe, but us in the media or the digital media, we didn't give the Pacers enough love or enough credit for what they did last year, right? Everybody saw the little thing on ESPN. All of their analysts and what have you picked Cleveland in some variation. I think it was 11-0 Cleveland Nobody picked Indiana to win at all. I mean, at the end of the day, Indiana just going and just thumping Cleveland shows two things. One, we underestimated what Indiana was. And two, and I think we'll get to this going down, were we right? Were we right? Let's get to it now. So Mitchell and Garland are an incredible dynamic backcourt in the regular season. Let's look at this. Offensive rating 121.7, that's first. Net rating positive 9.5. Now, let's get to Garland game 5. 4 of 16. He has 0 free throw attempts. Donovan Mitchell, 35 points. 1 assist. And 4 turnovers. Max Strus, 0 for 9 field goals, no rebounds. Point of attack defense collapse. Staggered actions can't work if defenders go under every screen. Mobley was good, but can't erase constant dribble penetration. Somebody has to help him. He didn't get any of that. And this is what happens when your best creator is 6'1", and your wings don't bend defenses. Cleveland has been trying to skip the hard part, but building an actual identity now in the East has passed them by. Who goes first? Garland or Mitchell? Yep, it was cute last year. It was damn cute last year. And you would say, oh, Vince, you're being reactionary. Well, here's the thing. If you react now, you might be able to course correct and figure out who you need to keep and keep yourself viable for like contention of actually winning a championship in the next 2 or 3 years. But if you keep this same formulas together and you keep on trying the same thing over and over again and like making little changes around the margin, like this is going to help. Like it's not going to make Donovan Mitchell larger than 6'2", and it's not going to make Darius Garland bigger than 6'1". That is the issue. We got Aaron Nesmith out here putting up 17 points, 13 rebounds. Now he had 5 fouls, but he was 100% hustle. He disrupted Mitchell a lot on the glass and cut off baseline drives constantly. He didn't need the ball to swing the game at all. This man outplayed Max Strus by simply existing. Because he didn't stand still. Kept moving. And the way he attacked the defense through his movement was impressive to watch him do that. And watch how the defensive rotations react to that situation. Where do we go from here, Cleveland? Like, where do we go? You could tell me that you want to get rid of one of the bigs, too. You could do that as well. But I still think and I know we need to upgrade that guard position. Somehow, some way. One of these guards need to either grow to 6'5" real quick, or you go out and get somebody who is 6'5". You know what I'm saying? 6'6" would be even more optimal. And it's hard to lose a Donovan Mitchell. But we'll see how it all goes. And we should shout out Indiana again. Because the story this week is one team found its rhythm and one team lost its core. Like always in May, it wasn't the spreadsheet that told the truth. It was the pace, the poise, and the people. And if you looked at Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, Aaron Nesmith, the TJ McConnell situation, Miles Turner played with so much passion and pride. This team was together. It was just galvanized by all it went through last year and all it went through earlier in the season, and when they caught their stride, they were ready to go. Keep in mind, what was it? Cleveland was 35-15 last 50. Indiana was 34-16. Not that big of a difference. Now, to a number one seed that is out here trying to show us the way. Systems fail first, not stars. OKC didn't out-talent Denver in Game 5. They outstructured them. SGA was calm. Hartenstein was loud in the paint. Jokic did everything he could. He dropped 44 and still got nothing. That's about the heart of it. That's the broken infrastructure. The rebellion isn't coming. It's already in the room. Let's get into what went down. Game 5, OKC, Denver. Let's talk to you about it. Let's go through some of the big players in this game right now. SGA, 31 points, 7 assists. Lived in the mid-range. Of course he did. Killer drop step. Never panic. Always look like, yo, dude, we got these fools right where we want them. OKC closed the fourth quarter 34-19. Jalen Williams chipped in with 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assisters. He was very charitable. So, showing that wing initiation, he was more decisive than the Denver guards. Hartenstein and Chet combined for 29 points, 15 rebounds, 2 blocks. Caruso's 13 points and 3 of 6 from three-point land is ridiculous. And also, team high in deflections, because that's what Caruso does. Denver stars trying to hit home runs, and OKC role players just hitting counters. OKC's assist to pass ratio was fourth, 8-1. That's trust basketball. Every pass led to something because they kept moving, and they trust everybody. They kind of just give their guys this empowerment, which is incredible. It's literally the exact opposite stuff that went on in Denver, and we'll get to that right now. So, Jokic was 44 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists. He shot the ball 25 times. He was 17-25. So damn efficient. The bench scoring, they were 4 of 12, or 4 of 20 field goals. So they shot the ball at a 20% clip. Michael Porter Jr., 2 points, 1 of 7 field goals. Jamal Murray showed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I don't care how many field goal attempts you have to shoot. It's like, yo, I am not going to allow us to lose. He scored 28 points. He did shoot it a lot. 27 field goal attempts. He was 3 of 13 from the land of 3 with 2 air balls. No lineup with Brown, Watson, or Westbrook had a positive box plus minus since game 3. Jokic looked tired. He looked alone, and he looked desolate. And MPJ looked like he had got dial-up Wi-Fi when they needed fiber optic spacing. You provided nothing, like nothing, no rebounding, no physicality. You just standing out there shooting threes, dog. It's not working. It's not working. That's gonna be the situation, and can they even upgrade that situation? That's gonna be crazy. This team never addressed change. They're addicted to cohesion and not adaptation. And that was from Soraya. The jewel from Soraya. I think now we can talk about Ant. We gotta talk about the Celtics a little bit. We gotta talk about Caruso. And then what else we gotta talk about? Couple more things. But I want to talk about something that was like really weird in this little stretch of games that we watched. And this is the thing that I just could not understand. Michael Porter Jr. makes like $43 million, right? He has a back injury. We all know limitations, what have you. Had some surgery in Denver. We didn't know he comes back heroically, plays well. He showed some physicality when they won the championship because he was rebounding at a high level. But that guy has seemed to disappear. I don't know where that guy is. He just broke out. I would like to see him back next year. We will see. Soraya put it in the chat. She was like, "Is Chet secretly better big than Evan Mobley right now?" I was like, "Ooh." That's what I kind of chuckled about. I don't know. No, you would think that Mobley a little bit better right now than Chet, but hey, if Chet continues to have the run that he's having, maybe not. Maybe not. Well, here's the thing. If you win Game 5, the chances of you winning the actual series is pretty much is a lock. And they just look like they had more answers to Denver's questions. They just have multiple answers. It's like, oh yeah, I think your multiple choice, like this can be all the above. We got all these answers. So we will see. I still love Jokic. I love the way he plays. I think in a Game 6 with his back up against the wall, he might be able to will them to another victory. But I think in Game 7, OKC would end up winning that. So, but they still got to play the games, right? Because we don't know. We might be one injury away. Hate to say that, but we just saw it with Boston. Just saw it, and it sucked. Some games aren't just losses. They're closing statements. And Game 4 felt like a eulogy. No Steph, no structure, no symmetry. Golden State didn't just fall off rhythm. They forgot how to cook. And Minnesota didn't blink. Not this version. Not the Wolves who showed up last night. It wasn't even about the score. It was about the feel. Golden State felt like leftovers and Minnesota looked like they were the chefs. This is what Soraya had to say. Wolves aren't chaos anymore. They're choreography. They're prep. They rotate. They play. And that's it. That's the headline. In the third quarter, the Wolves were plus 22. That's not a run. That's a message. The Warriors were 29% from 3. They had 11 assists from their starters. That's a team that was stuck in the walk-in freezer with no flame. You know the Warrior system. Curls, cuts, motion. Without Steph, it was just Kuminga just staring into space and Draymond just pump faking at ghosts. Minnesota, they just didn't just execute. They showed patience. They shot 47% from 3. That's at a deliberate pace. This was a playoff composed, not your regular season flair. This one's brutal in the best way. You can't run a system when no one believes in the ingredients. Golden State offense looked like they had forgotten the recipe cards and Kuminga was out there trying to be a chef, but the kitchen was missing everything, all the ingredients. And it's easy to say that Steph makes it all work. But last night, a team that didn't just miss Steph, they depended on him like a crutch. In Minnesota, they just passed him flat out. I've seen Minnesota play exciting ball before, but this was different. This was clean, not loud, not desperate. They didn't force. They trusted the system. Like, they knew dinner was coming, and they just had to finish prep. So, shout out to Soraya. She called this one before tip. She said, this is the night the Wolves stop being fun and start being real. And damn, if it didn't just happen in front of everybody's eyes. That wasn't just a game 4 blowout. It was a transition. Record scratch moment for the Warriors. Looked cooked. Wolves looked complete. One team out there was playing to survive. The other was plating courses and saying, check please. The one thing that you did see is that if Kuminga is going to score 30 points, that's going to be a situation where maybe he will create some asset. All I can say is that the Wolves, they did so well. They didn't overextend. They rotated smart. They kept bodies in front of everybody. And every single one of their perimeter guys, from McDaniels to Edwards, treated the ball like it was a stolen plate. Like, hey, get your hands off that, man. That's not yours. That's mine. That's how you win. That's how you win. That's how you get it done. It's not with flair. It's with clarity. You let the other team spiral while you just keep doing what you're doing. Minnesota understood the moment. Golden State was trying to find the flavor. The Wolves already reducing their sauce. And the scary part is the Wolves didn't even just respond. They just dictated. We can out-physical you anytime we want. We can expect the energy, and then we can absorb it and then be able to give it back to you. Oh, you matches with Jonathan Kuminga with a pop, rim pressure, 2 early buckets, and then even Draymond chirping like it's 2017 again. But after minute 7, it was like someone hit the deep freeze, huh? It was just, oh, it's quiet over there. Here's what happened. Warriors 1 assist in the final 5 minutes of the first quarter. 0 paint touches in the final 3 minutes. That's not fatigue. That's a lockdown. Minnesota put the clamps on early. Off ball, they were surgical. McDaniels took away lift and space. Conley sniffed out every second side skip. And here's the number that should scare all the teams. 82% of the Warriors' jumper in the first quarter were contested. That's not hand in the face stuff. That's like chest on hip discipline. We talking about real defense. Now, Golden State felt them all night. Julius Randle, who was much maligned early in the season, took over for a 3-minute stretch that flipped the entire zone. It wasn't hero ball, not post fades, reads, elbow catches, short rolls, purposeful decoys. It was the kind of play that we hadn't seen out of him in trust about years. I'll say it like this. This was the first time Randall looked like a system player and not a system breaker. He was in sync with all of it. Minnesota takes a commanding 3-1 lead. We go back for game 5, and we will see how this goes down. It should go down pretty interesting. You know how I am with this situation. I love Steph, but I don't think there's anything at this point he could do to make this right. You know, I think we're at this point where Golden State has shown a heart of a champion, but they just don't have enough. They don't have enough players to answer what Ant and what Julius Randle and the rest of the cats can bring to them at this present time. So it's unfortunate, but it's kind of where we are at this point. So now, the one last thing I do want to talk about, I want to talk about the Knicks real quick. Now, we kind of got on the Jason Tatum situation with the ruptured Achilles. It sucks. We will talk about his money situation in 1 second. But let's not overshadow what the Knicks were doing before Tatum got injured. You scored 39 in the first quarter, and you're thinking blowout, right? But Boston offense fell off a cliff for the next 24 minutes. Why? Because the Knicks didn't panic. They tightened the screws. So the second and third quarter, they had 51 points combined. The second half, Knicks 70 point plus 19 in the margin, so it was 70 to 51. Brunson scored 39 points, had 12 assists. OG, Bridges, and Cat, total control of their game. It was surgical what they did to them. And this is literally before the Tatum injury. Now, we get to the Tatum injury. It sucks for Boston. We can go here and we can talk about, well, they could do this, they could do this, they could do this. There's a couple things that I want to talk about right now. Unfortunately, we live in an era where the salary cap that was put in place by the owners. And the reason why they put them there is because they didn't trust themselves. They didn't trust that they could be efficient enough to say, hey, this is the discipline. This is what we think this player is worth. This is our, model. We're going to stay true to our model. And they can't do it. They just can't do it. So what they've done is they basically put a hard cap on themselves. Now, they'll tell you it's not a hard cap, but basically that's what it is. Now, how it works is this. You have a situation right now that Brad Stevens is about to be in. Okay? Because if we go into next year and everything stays the same, now we understand that Jason Tatum is hurt. We understand that he is going to be out for the entire season. That doesn't mean that his salary goes away. It's a guaranteed salary. So, with the luxury tax, with the apron penalties and bonus, the what is it, when it go retroactive and now it shoots up more or whatever, you're looking at a $500+ million payroll. Now, let's get real. The Celtics are in cap hell. Tatum's out, ruptured Achilles, and that is 12 to 14 months rehab. Meanwhile, their payroll next year is to cost $500 million when you include all the tax penalties. So Tatum, $59 million kicks in next year. Jalen is making $54. Holiday, Porzingis, White, and Horford add up to $90 million. Second apron penalties plus tax, $500+ million. And the second apron isn't just the luxury tax, it's the strategic lockbox, no mid-level, no salary trade, no salary trades, no buyouts. Boston's are frozen. So basically what this is telling you what they are in. So they get no mid-level taxpayer exception when you are at the second apron. Also, no salary trade. So what that means is that if you take somebody off your books for $30 million, you need to get somebody back for $30 million. The other thing is that you can't aggregate salaries, meaning you can't stack salaries on top of one another. You can't take like 4 or 5 dudes and say, okay, these guys are worth $20 million and give us your $20 million guy, or vice versa. So if somebody wanted to you wanted to take Jaylen Brown off your team, take that $54 million, they couldn't bring you 4 players back that were worth $54 million. No, it'd have to be 1-for-1 or whatever the case may be. So it all depends on where that other team is and where you are, but Boston has no flexibility whatsoever. So keep this in mind. Now, with that being said, let's go on. What do? You got Jalen as a lead scorer. Can you lean on Holiday and Porzingis and White and ride out the Tatum injury? A lot of people will sit here and be like, "Oh, you're nuts and whatever." Okay. If Jaylen Brown is $54 million, right? And depending on what the other team is as far as their salary cap situation, could you put yourself in a position where you kind of get like a reboot, taking off Jaylen Brown's salary and maybe getting like, I don't know, 30 cents on the dollar, 45 cents on the dollar, whatever. There's a reason for this. Because I'm not stopping there. Because people want to sit there and go like, hey, what could we like really do? Well, if Jason Tatum isn't there, like Drew Holiday's effectiveness and Derek White effectiveness is not as great as it would be, without Jason Tatum. So if you're already thinking about Jaylen Brown leaving, you may as well think of Drew Holiday and Derek White. And you go, well, Vince, that's basically the team. And there's a point for this. You got your own pick in 2026, and AJ DeBansta is sitting out there. There's also a guard. And also one of the Boozer twins is a top 5 dude as well. So we know that next year's draft is pretty stacked as well as far as talent. Is this a way where you can kind of have like Jason Tatum come back and then have this crazy superior athlete type dude, depending on who you end up getting? And listen, you don't have to fully tank because you're real good. And Mazzulla is a really, really good coach. But if we took some of the weapons away from him, how good would he be? And if we can kind of reset the whole salary cap situation, get ourselves financially like solvent again. And I know that the billionaires who own the Celtics now have a ton of money. That's not the question. The question is that you want the flexibility, you want the franchise flexibility, you want the asset flexibility that you currently do not have and you cannot get because of your tax implications and things of that nature. So, I understand that it would hurt, but is there a possibility for kind of okay, we really like Peyton Pritchard. Is there any way that we can see if he's a lead guard type situation? Do you make a judgment call between Derek White and Drew Holiday? Do you trade Drew Holiday because he's the older one and keep Derek White and say, okay, I'm going to have a backcourt of Peyton Pritchard and Derek White as we go through this transition and we end up getting rid of Jaylen Brown and maybe Drew Holiday and Sam Hauser? Is that the way you go? You keep some of the old leadership as far as the Al Horfords and, Porzingis, even if he never really gets right. I think next year is his walk year. So you could literally walk out of 2026, 2027 without Porzingis, without Horford, and depending on where the ping pong balls fall, you can end up with one of the top 5 draft picks. As we saw this year, it was super nuts. Head scratcher to be sure. And if you feel like you might be one of those teams that might end up in that situation, and you can find yourself out of that situation with a couple shrewd moves, maybe this is where Brad Stevens shows his Danny Ainge-ness and creates the next iteration of the Celtics dynasty. It is wishful thinking on the part of this podcaster for sure, especially that's a very pretty positive outlook for the Boston Celtics for somebody who absolutely cannot stand the Boston Celtics. But I am sad for what has gone on. I'm sad for all Celtics fans out there because this is not how you want it to end. This is definitely the way, you want your team to go out like, hey, we have a chance. We have a puncher's chance, and let's see what happens. But when your main guy goes down, and here's what I'll say about Jason Tatum. I never looked at him as like a top 5 dude. But the one thing I will say is that there's nothing wrong with like top 8. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And he's such a good dude. Like, he never gets in trouble. He's always on top. You don't hear any nonsense coming about Jason Tatum. Everything's good. And it sucks to hear that this guy, with the professionalism that he shows every single day, and that's the standard that he sets for that team, to see him go out like this was really hard to see. So, my condolences to all Celtics fans out there. Speedy recovery to Jason Tatum. And with that being said, best part of you is you. Now, hopefully you have the support of others that will uplift you, give you the strength that you need throughout the week, and give you that affirmation that you so long to look for. Now, if you got people like that in your life, you need to acknowledge them. You need to celebrate them. If you can reach out and touch them, hug them, text them, FaceTime them, do whatever you need to do, but show them that you are appreciating them. And if you are this kind of well-rounded individual and you are trying to find a squad, look no further than Frontrunner Podcast Collective. We will always have a seat open for you because you seem like a very open-minded hoop, a hoop head, hoop analogous person. We love you. We want to make sure that we give you the best podcast we can possibly give you. Shouts out to Soraya and all that she does. Shouts out to my boy Vance. Thank you, player. Appreciate you. And we will see you on this feed on Friday. Dose.